This is your Daily 5 for Tuesday, May 19th, 2026. For this week, or one of this week's movies in our Maybe It Won't Suck marathon for this month, we watched a movie that was a pick from me because I vaguely remembered this movie, a 1994 full moon picture straight-to-video release titled Dark Angel, The Ascent. Now, I'm going to be upfront with you about why I remembered this movie, because I remembered very little, but things I remembered about it were that in the opening, the main actress goes from, she escapes, escapes might not even be the right word, she leaves hell and goes to the surface world, Earth, I guess. They didn't call it anything else, so that's what I'm assuming it is. I don't know if they had a different religious term for it in the movie's canon. We didn't hear it. She goes up out of hell onto Earth and immediately loses all of her clothing. And this movie came out when I was 16, 17, and at that point I had very few interests in mind, most of them revolving around girls. And since this movie featured a basically goth girl who was nude at the beginning of the movie, I do remember that part of it, and I didn't remember much else. I'm just telling you how it is. Goth girls worked on me back then. I shouldn't say worked as if they don't anymore, but that was what I remembered of the movie, and I was curious if there was anything else to it besides that. I really wasn't sure, especially with Full Moon. That's so hit or miss. There was every possibility this was going to be a dumpster fire that I would be embarrassed to even have brought up. But interestingly, in a massive twist, as seems to happen quite frequently when we watch these movies, both Lando and I were really mesmerized by this movie. Not because it's particularly good in itself. It's fine. It's straight to video. There's good acting, there's bad acting. It's a fairly limited budget, you can tell. The effects are generally good. But what really sets it apart is its presentation of religion in a way that I don't know that I've ever seen before, or at least I cannot remember. In that, most times when you have heaven and hell and earth in between, usually that is shown as, okay, hell is run by the devil. He's fighting, she, whatever. The devil is fighting God for souls, dominance, power, whatever. It's a two-sided battle. The light versus the dark, the good versus the evil. That's what we normally see when there's heaven and hell involved. This movie doesn't do that. In this movie's sense of religion, as the main character says at one point and explains, God sits at the center of a wheel, and everything around God all ties back and is rated from God centrally. So it took a while for me to realize this, but there is no devil in this movie. Hell is simply a functionary place because the sinful have to be punished. And so there's a scene early on where the devil, the main character, and her parents say grace before they eat and thank God and say amen. And that really threw me off because I didn't understand that this was a version of hell where there is no devil. This is just a place that has to exist because people who do not earn their place in heaven have to be punished. And that's what they're doing. So we do see angels a couple of times. We don't really know what they do, but it's clear that the basic mechanics of hell are what we classically know. Fire, brimstone, people being punished for the things that they've done, and demons are doing the punishing. But there is no Lucifer, there is no Satan. Whereas I'm used to in movies, when demons pray, they're praying to Lucifer or Satan, they're Dark Lord, inverted crosses, all that kind of thing. That's not what this movie shows. In fact, the demons are every bit as reverent towards God as the angels are. And that's what makes it unique. I'm not saying this has never been depicted before in media. It probably has. But neither Lando or I could think of another movie that we saw that presented things this way. And that's the key reason to see it, is because it's doing something different. And again, it's a perfectly functional movie. It's entertaining on its own anyway. But what makes it really unique is the way that they depict this version of religion. And it really just, once we realized what was going on, we were fascinated by it, and we really enjoyed it. As I said, it's still a full moon picture. You're going to see the limitations of the movie making and the budgets and all that type of stuff. The acting can be all over the place. But it is that interesting and different take on the presentation of religion, specifically heaven and hell, that makes this movie stand out. So I'd say, if you're in the mood to see something low budget but a little bit different, you could do a lot worse than 1994's Dark Angel, The Ascent. Later.